Good morning, everybody. Good morning. It is so good to see you all on this gorgeous August morning. Welcome to church. So, quick question. How many of you have found a way to compost biodegradable materials at home? Just raise your hand. Great. For some of us, maybe the city has tried to make this easier, for which I'm grateful. And how many of you might have grown up with a compost pile in your backyard? Anybody? Yeah, a few of us here. All right. There is a daily practice and a daily discipline to composting. It makes requirements of you. Composting requires touching organic matter, smelling it, judging it, wondering about its ability to transform. When we compost, we take intimate part in the great cycle of life, of death and transformation and regeneration. Now, as a child, it was often my job to bury the compost in the compost pile in the backyard. I had no sense that my dad wanted us to compost for any ethical or regeneration reasons. I knew for sure Dad could not remember to put the garbage out on collection day and resented the idea of paying anyone to have garbage taken care of. As a ranch child, there was no garbage service in his life. We actually recycled cans and newspapers at a time when no one I knew did that, and we burned everything else in a big burn barrel. So what we did not compost or recycle, we burned, which was also an exciting transformation for me as a child when it was my turn at the burn barrel. But as plastics increased, this was surely bad for human health and the earth's health. But composting, I knew, even as a child, was a special process. As a child, I became very familiar with the smells of the earth as I turned over parts of the compost pile. I knew to sift the earth carefully to retrieve the delicious potatoes that were growing in that pile, born from the cuttings of other potatoes. I knew to watch for the earthworms doing their job in the soil. I knew partial transformation had a look and smell different from full transformation of foodstuff back into beautiful soil. Today, we will delve into the rigors and beauties of transformation. Today, we have a gift of a poetry-based sermon from our own amazing church member, Rima Snyder, who has done this over the years. Come now, let us worship together. Now, Cassie and I are going to do the chalice lighting here. So, we light the chalice. No, I do you start. She starts.
We light the chalice this morning with a poem by Mary Oliver called Sleeping in the Forest. I thought that the earth remembered me. She took me back so tenderly.
Arranging her dark skirts, her pockets full of lichen and seeds.
I slept as never before, a stone on the riverbed.
Nothing between me and the white fire of the stars but my thoughts.
And they floated, light as moths among the branches of the perfect trees.
All night, I heard the small kingdoms breathing around me.
The insects and the birds who do their work in the darkness.
All night, I rose and fell.
As if in water, grappling with luminous doom.
By morning, I had vanished at least a dozen times into something better. Thank you, Cassie. Today, we are lucky to be in the presence of Rima Snyder, who wrote today's sermon and who has offered poetry-based, yes, never mind, backing up here. Welcome. Welcome. We are so glad to have all of you with us. Whether this is your first time here or you have been coming here the entirety of your life, wherever you are, in the sanctuary or in our online sanctuary from communities across the nation and beyond, thank you. Thank you for being here on this beautiful day on planet Earth. The Unitarian Universalist Congregation of Santa Monica is an open and affirming congregation, welcoming people from many diverse and beautiful backgrounds, identities, and abilities. We strive to build a community that is radically inclusive, anti-racist, whole, just, and sustainable. We celebrate many religious beliefs and learn from the wisdom, both ancient and contemporary, sacred and secular. You take that as you will. You can look around you here and see the symbols of many faith traditions we learn from and honor. We offer ministries and programs to serve the needs of our congregation and to be of service in the larger world, including chalice circles, which are small group ministries, meditation meetings, book clubs, children and youth's religious education classes, and activities for folks of all ages. We join with other social and environmental justice activists to promote love, peace, and equity amongst people, and we care for our earth home. There is truly something for everyone here, and we invite you to consider becoming a member of our congregation to help us further the work we do in the world. As we gather in our sacred space here, we recognize our homes and the homes of most of our members and friends are located near the sacred waters and upon the unceded lands of indigenous peoples. This is the traditional home of the Tongva, Gabrieleño Quiche, Vintereño, Fernandeño Tatatvian, Chumash tribes, and others, and we honor their presence amongst us and the ongoing struggle for equity, justice, and sovereignty. So as I said earlier, we are lucky to be in the presence of Rima Snyder, who wrote today's sermon. You can clap again. Yeah. And who offers a poetry-based service, and she has done so for at least the past 10 years that I have been coming to church here, and likely longer. Rima has been a member of this church since 2006. She has served on the music committee, the nominating committee, the newsletter editor, and worship associate. She facilitates monthly poetry sharing groups, sings in the choir. She lives in Culver City with her husband Norb Gallery and their miniature Australian Shepherd Fire. Rima had a recent injury that makes it hard for her to read her sermon today, so I will be the one to deliver it. This will be nowhere like Rima delivering her beautiful sermon, but I will try. And we're going to have our opening hymn now, and I would like it to be noted that the words are by Emerson, who is a particular sort of muse to Unitarians. So.
Love is the doctrine of this church, the quest for truth is its sacrament, and service is its prayer. To dwell together in peace, to seek knowledge in freedom, to serve humankind in fellowship, thus do we covenant with each other. El amor es la enseñanza de esta iglesia. Buscar la verdad es su sacramento y el servicio es la oración. Vivir juntos en paz,
buscar el conocimiento y la libertad, servir a la humanidad en comunión. Así es como convenimos unos a otros.
Good morning. My name is Jessica Tenhave Place, and I am the Director of Multi-Generational Religious Education here. And I'm not wearing my sunglasses just to look really cool, which obviously I do. But I've been fighting migraine this weekend, so trying to reduce the light. But I want to invite our children. There we go. Theo knows what to do. To help collect for the Westside Food Bank. So please raise your hand if you have a donation, and one of our helpers will come to pick that up. Thank you. I'm seeing some great donations of things like oatmeal, canned food. We need all these kinds of shelf-stable items to donate to the Westside Food Bank, which is doing great work helping people dealing with hunger in our community. What do you have, Emerson? Organic shells and cheddar, yummy. Well, you should, he said he doesn't really like that. You should bring your favorite food next week, for Emerson, to share with someone. But I'm sure someone will appreciate that. So thank you, all those who brought donations. We can leave them in the box. And then if you all can sit on the steps, I'm going to need some helpers to help me tell our Time for All Ages story this week. So we'll see who can come sit down first and who can come be my helper. You want to help? I have some friends to help me today. No. Mr. Spider, Mrs. Spider, Ms. Spider, Nick Spider. So, Zia, if you can hold that for me, and then let's see who, Emerson, do you want to hold one of the webs? Yeah. Stretch out our webs. Here, can we grab the shorter one there, so this one can, well, continue that, because this one can reach down from here. Who wants to hold the other web for me? Oh, good idea, Emerson, stretch it all out. Do you want to take that one, Thea?
No, Emerson can do it.
One more friend. Do you want to hold that?
And fly.
Thank you. Okay, I'm going to stand up here so I can use the microphone. Okay, so I knew that our service was going to be focusing on poetry today, so I picked a poem from one of my favorite poets, Walt Whitman. But he likes to use a lot of $10 words, and so I thought for the kids, and maybe for some of us grown-ups out there, it will be helpful to have some visual representation. So let's see what we've got going on with our spider in this poem. Let's all listen really good, because I'll give you a cue. When you hear the word filament, I want you to shake a web if you have your web. Okay. A noiseless, patient spider. I marked where on a little promontory it stood isolated, marked how to explore the vacant, vast surrounding. It launched forth filament, 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 out of itself, ever unreeling them, ever tirelessly speeding them. And then we have our next character. And you, O my soul, where you stand, surrounded, detached, in measureless oceans of space, ceaselessly musing, venturing, throwing, seeking spheres to connect them, till the bridge you will need to be formed, till the ductile anchor holds, till the gossamer thread you fling catch somewhere, oh my soul. Thank you, helpers. We can have more fun with that later. But so let's see. So what did the spider throw out in the poem? His filaments, right? Which is another word for webs, right? So Walt Whitman saw a spider casting out webs into the world, and it reminded him of himself. And so I was throwing out little things that his soul was casting out. Did anyone catch one? What were those? Maybe they all disappeared. Did you find it, Quinn? What is it?
They're hard. It's amusing and adventuring and something else that I forgot.
Exactly, yes. So I threw out little hearts because you're right, he's talking about musing, venturing, seeking the spheres that connect himself to other souls out there. And so I think that when he saw a spider casting out webs, it made him think about himself and how the way his heart was reaching out to other people and other things to try to find a connection. And so this is something that poetry does beautifully, is helps us relate to nature and see what's in nature that's also in us. So this is a challenge I'm issuing to the kids and all the adults as well. This week, go out in nature, and we have lots of nature even in the busy city. Look at some squirrels or birds or little bugs and see what you can observe happening in nature that makes you think of things happening in your own heart. So I'm anxious to hear any poetry that comes of this project. Haikus acceptable, doesn't have to rhyme, but all of these writing and observing is a great way to connect with nature. Yazia? She already has a poem about nature, so she's ahead of all of you. So good job for setting the bar high. You'll have to. Can you share it with us later? Oh.
I think I remember one.
Do you want to say it? Do you want to come up? Yeah. Oh, beautiful. Thank you, Zia.
So it's like
Here, let's put this down here.
so it's like a poem, but it's the first line is the subject of the poem, but it can also only be one syllable. And then the second line is something about the subject, I guess. 2 syllables, then 3 syllables, then 4 syllables, then just 1 syllable to wrap it up. So it's sort of like a haiku, but different. Still like syllables. Give me a minute here. Nope, can't remember it.
That's okay, because now we have this set up. So if you're here next week, you could share it with us next week. Okay. Oh, you remember it? Okay.
Bugs. No, I think I have it. Okay. Bugs. Different. All different. But all the same. And then it was something about beautiful, but I forget what 1 syllable word I have. So yeah.
And that is such a great example, Zia, because we can observe the diversity and the unity in nature and see the diversity and the unity among human beings as well. So thank you so much for that excellent example. We're all going to head off to the cottage to learn together some more as we sing Go Now in Peace.
Wow, we are only half without our children. Please take a moment to silence your cell phones. Some may like your ringtone, some may not. Please join us for the 2025 Camp de Benneville Pines weekend, September 26th through Sunday the 28th. You can ask more about it at the table that Joyce is going to set up later in Forbes Hall. On September 14th, we have a couple of things going on. There's going to be a plant-based cooking class and a screening of Gaza Journalists Under Fire. And always, our church is so happy to welcome visitors. You can find out more about us and about our faith at our monthly meeting, which is the first Sunday of the month, which will be September 7th. It'll be after the service in Forbes Hall, room 3. Now is the time, if you want to be trained as a volunteer to work with our youth in any capacity, you have to attend one of the trainings. And it will be a workshop next Sunday from 12 to 1, or you can do Zoom on Wednesday from 7 to 8, I believe. And you can respond or RSVP to Jessica through the DRME at UUSM.org to let her know that you want to come. But again, if you want to volunteer with the children, you need to attend one of these trainings. If you're interested in your child or a child you know participating in our Whole Lives Sexuality Education program in the 2025-2026 programming year, they would really like you to fill out a survey. It's on the last week's newsletter, but I'm sure you probably can find it somewhere else on the website. Our Whole Lives produces accurate, developmentally appropriate information about a range of topics, including relationships, gender identity and expression, sexual orientation, sexual health, and cultural influences on sexuality. OWL's holistic approach doesn't simply deal with the birds and the bees, but the emotional, psychological, and spiritual aspects of human sexuality, approached in an age-appropriate, shame-free, LGBTQ affirming framework. You could also email Jessica at that same email address if you'd like to learn more about it. This is open to people who are not a part of our congregation. So if you have parent friends of your children's friends, they can come too. So just, it's a really great program. I think all the teens, even though while they were taking it, curmudgeonly sat there, they all eventually realized that it was a really good program and they were happy to have it. Yes, exactly. The Science Nonfiction book group is going to be discussing a very great topic by the book of Why Nations Fall, The Origins of Power, Prosperity, and Poverty, which is a good time to be discussing this, next Saturday at 10:30 a.m. in Forbes Hall. You can provide hands-on help by putting together meals at Lunches for Bunches right after the service, but especially I want those of you who come here looking to figure out how you can get involved in our social justice work. The Peace and Social Justice Committee is going to be meeting under the shade structure at 12 p.m. today, and you can go there and kind of figure out what are the things that you'd like to involve yourself in. Lastly, the communications team is doing a paper survey today to see how they can best serve us and get information to us. So please take a moment to find somebody. Joyce has the surveys. Find her and get a survey and fill it out, because we want you to be able to know everything that's going on in a timely way. Take a moment to greet your neighbor. I know lots of you have things to say to those around you. Please listen for Ryan's piano playing. That's an indication to find your way back to your seat. Thank you.
Please be seated.
Hello, everyone. So I would like to briefly introduce the first piece that I will be singing for you guys for the service. It's called Clair de Lune, set by Gabriel Fauré. This is a very famous tune I'm sure you've heard set several times by several composers. The name will probably, of course, ring a bell. So since this service was about poetry, when deciding the pieces, I thought this was the perfect piece for poetry because it's all about painting a picture of a beautiful scenery of an evening party, and it's a poem about this evening party with masks and bergamasks and everything, and ends the evening very quietly with the burbling of the fountain in the middle of the venue. So enjoy.
So beautiful. Thank you. It's a brief moment to think of the many joys and sorrows in our church, joys shared or unshared, sorrows shared or unshared. I know many of us may be thinking of Norm's wife, Bev, who's recovering from mild to moderate concussion. And of course, we have Rima here, who has written a beautiful sermon, but due to an unfortunate accident is not going to be able to read it today. But we're sending our best wishes and good thoughts to those in our congregation and beyond who are experiencing the joys that life has to offer and the sorrows as well. We have a short time now dedicated to breathing together and letting our minds expand into the day, into the dimensions of space and color and sensation and sound around us. I will ring the singing bowl over here to lead us into and out of a time of brief prayer, meditation, and silence. Since this is a poetry service, I will share an excerpt from the German poet Rilke from his 9th elegy, translated by Anita Barrows and Joanne Macy. Joanne, an ecologist and activist, did die earlier this year. May her memory be a deep blessing. I'm going to read the poem, and then I will ring the bell. We'll be in a brief silence, and I'll ring the bell again to bring us out. So here's from the poet. Earth, isn't this what you want, to arise in us invisible? Is it not your dream to enter us so wholly there is nothing left outside to see? What, if not transformation, is your deepest purpose? Earth, my love, I want that too. Believe me, no more of your springtimes are needed to win me over. Even one flower is more than enough. Before I was named, I belonged to you. I seek no other law but yours. I'm going to share a reading today. It's a different one than what's in your order of service. There was a last-minute substitution here, and I want to thank Kim Miller for that, or Rima would like to thank Kim Miller for that. And again, to remind you, all of this has been organized and beautifully put together by Rima, and I'm just trying to deliver in her honor. This is a poem called Rot by Robbie Nestor, and it's our reading for today. The garbage reeks, full of leftovers and moldy lemons, mats of dryer lint, and like a skill of algae on the surface of a pond. I ought to take the full bag out, but I'm reluctant to engage with the decay that's at the heart of everything. And yet, if one could study it impartially, without a trace of terror or repulsion, the vivid shades of dissolution rival the desert after rain, spilled paint spreading far to the horizon. Even the odors hover on the edge of almost beautiful. as full as perfume's right musk, purple as jacaranda. It can even be delicious, at least to some. Consider the fragrant funk of some ripe cheeses, durian or kimchi, 1,000-year-old eggs, buried in the yard until the yolk marbles greenish black. Without rot, none of us could thrive. Everything that grows feeds on what went before. Ocean reefs seeded by a wealth of putrid whale fall, ancient cities stacked, one on top of another, rising from the same foundation, fertile ground for everything to come. Now I'm going to begin the sermon portion here, and some of you may have printouts of the poetry we've been reading. Feel free to follow along with those. And I'm going to, when you hear I, just think of our wonderful pal Rima here. When I started to search for a topic for this summer's poetry service, I asked the advice of my oldest and dearest friend. You should do a service about compost, she said. Immediately, I thought, I am not doing a service about compost. But since she was my oldest and dearest friend, I decided I should at least hear her out. It could be about renewal, about the cycle of life, about transformation. Okay, I thought, it's possible. Then I didn't consider it that seriously until I found not one but two poems about compost. Not only that, but one was by Billy Collins. Now, anytime I can use a Billy Collins poem, I consider it a kind of personal victory. Here is his poem titled Picnic Lightning. And the poet says, "It is possible to be struck by a meteor or a single-engine plane while reading in a chair at home. Pedestrians are flattened by safes falling from rooftops, mostly within the panels of comics, but still, we know it is possible, as well as the flash of summer lightning, the thermos toppling over, spilling on the grass. And we know the message can be delivered from within the heart. No Valentine decides to quit after lunch, the power shut off like a switch. Or a tiny dark ship is unmoored into the flow of the body's rivers, the brain a monastery defenseless on the shore. This is what I think about when I shovel compost into a wheelbarrow and when I fill the long flower boxes, then press into rows the limp roots of red impatience, the instant hand of death, always ready to burst forth from the sleeves of his voluminous cloak. Then the soil is full of marvels, bits of leaf like flakes off a fresco, red, brown pine needles, and a beetle quick to burrow back under the loam. Then the wheelbarrow is a wilder blue, the clouds a brighter white, and all I hear is the rasp of the steel edge against the round stone, the small plants singing with lifted faces, and the click of the sundial as 1 hour sweeps into the next." This poem shows us the heightened beauty of the world that comes into sharp focus along with the awareness of mortality. This very mortality is one of the most classic and enduring themes for poets. How the knowledge of our impending death can bring about an appreciation for the preciousness, the fragile beauty of our lives. The passage of time as marked by the motion of the sundial holds out one moment as the eternal present, anchored in time, but also, perhaps, transcending time. As T.S. Eliot, the poet, says in his 4 quartets, quote, "Only through time, time is conquered," unquote. This theme of the present moment is also widely represented in poetry and literature, the meeting of past and future in a single instant that is all we have, the now. Author Virginia Woolf wrote about the concept of the moment in her fiction and her essays, including an essay titled, quote, "The Moment, Summer's Night," end of quote. Her ideas are described by literary critic Ralph Friedman as, quote, "a spatial and temporal incident in which all identities are merged." Here is the passage from Woolf's essay. "The night was falling, so that the table in the garden among the trees grew whiter and whiter. The people around it more and more indistinct. An owl, blunt, obsolete-looking, heavy-weighted, crossed the fading sky with a black spot between his claws. The trees murmured, yet what compromised the present moment? If you are young, the future lies upon the present like a piece of glass, making it tremble and quiver. If you are old, the past lies upon the present like a thick glass, making it waver, distorting it. All the same, everybody believes that the present is something, seeks out the different elements of this situation in order to compose the truth of it, the whole of it. Later in Woolf's essay, when the dusk has turned into evening and the conversation has created an atmosphere of tension, the owl returns. The owl flies out and puts a stop to this judging, this overseeing, and with our wings spread, we too fly, take wing, with the owl over the earth and survey the quietude of what sleeps. Could we not fly too with broad wings and with softness and be one wing, all embracing, all gathering, and these boundaries, these prying over the hedges and the different hidden compartments of different colors, be all swept into one color by the brush of the wing. The owl is a traditional symbol of wisdom and death. This mysterious bird was companion to the Greek goddess Athena, the goddess of wisdom and war. The owl in Virginia Woolf's piece appears crossing the faded sky with a black spot between its claws, but it doesn't seem to me to be threatening, although we must take it seriously. It feels more like an omen or the preface to the question that is asked about the nature of time and the present moment. There was also the theme of flight, soaring above ourselves and being rescued from the boundaries of our solitary lives. For me, these passages convey a sense of joy that is found by confronting the specter of death and rising above our fear to embrace the mystery of our own existence. There are moments when we can feel part of something that is beyond linear time, the song that creation sings to itself. Here is a poem that explores the passage of time by celebrating the day's descent into night, when boundaries between things blur and merge. The poem is Still Life at Dusk by Rosemary Watola Trommer. The poet says, "It happens surprisingly fast, the way your shadow leaves you. All day I've been linked by the light, but now that darkness gathers the world in a great black tide, your shadow joins the sea of all other shadows. If you stand here long enough, you too will forget your lines and merge with the tall grass and the old trees, with the crows and the flooding river, all these pieces of the world that daylight has broken into objects of singular loneliness. It happens surprisingly fast. The drawing in of your shadow and standing in the field, you become the field. And standing in the night, you are gathered by night. Invisible birds sing to the memory of light, but then even those separate songs fade, tiny drops of ink into an infinite spilling." Like the people in Virginia Woolf's Scene at Dusk, the poet feels a sense of melding into something larger with the advance of darkness. Her own sense of self becomes one with, quote, infinite spilling of sacred night. Trommer talks about the inspiration for this poem that came to her near her home in Colorado. One evening, while standing on the Red Rock cliffs behind our house, I noticed that the shadow of another cliff was coming to eclipse my own shadow where I stood. It was marvelous watching my shadow disappear into that larger shadow. So marvelous, in fact, so thrilling, that I ran home to the east so that I could experience it again and again and again as the sun set beneath different landforms. By the time I got home, I had been eclipsed perhaps 8 times. What was the thrill of this? Well, I think it was in part due to a new attraction to darkness. I spent most of my life longing for light and running from darkness. This newfound curiosity about what had once scared me brought so much freedom, so much openness. Tromer says she had been drawn to the poetry of Rilke, who explores and celebrates the dark from which new beginnings can emerge. Here's the complete poem that she mentions. The poet says, "Your darkness from which I come, I love you more than all the fires that fence out the world, for the fire makes a circle for everyone, so that no one sees you anymore, but darkness holds it all. The shape and the flame, the animal and myself, now it holds them, all powers, all sight, and it is possible. Its great strength is breaking into my body. I have faith in the night." Night and darkness, death and decay, pain and suffering are often thought of as frightening and negative. Yet there is no light without the dark, and the night brings a time for rest and renewal. Death is a natural part of the life cycle, and as this next excerpt from a poem for my daughter by Teddy Mackner shows us, it can lead to renewal, to growth, and beauty. The poet says, "It seems we have made pain some kind of mistake, like having it is somehow wrong. Don't let them fool you. Pain is part of things. But remember, dear Ellie, the compost down in the field. If the rank and dank and dark are handled well, not merely discarded, but turned and known and honored, they one day come to beds of rich earth, home even to the most delicate rose." Another poem I found that raises up the connection between people, the nourishing earth, and the cycle of life is called "Lie Down" by the poet Nancy Paddock. The poet says, "Lie down with your belly to the ground like an old dog in the sun. Smell the greenness of the clover leaf, feel the damp earth through your clothes. Let an ant wander the uncharted territory of your skin. Lie down with your belly to the ground, melt into the earth's contours like a harmless snake. All else is mere bravado. Let your mind resolve itself in a tangle of grass. Lie down with your belly to the ground, flat out, on ground level. Prostrate yourself before the soil you will someday enter. Stop doing. Stop judging, fearing, trying. This is not dying, but the way to live in a world of change and gravity. Let go. Let your burdens drop. Let your grief charge bleed off into the ground. Lie down with your belly to the ground and then rise up with the earth still in you. This morning we've looked at poems that hold up life's wonder and fragility, that remind us that night and the darkness are natural preludes to new growth and that pain is part of things. I'd like to close this morning's talk with an excerpt from a poem by the poet, farmer, and activist Wendell Berry. Berry believes strongly in living in a way that preserves the earth for future generations. His vision of sacred natural world speaks to the larger cycle of life that unfolds beyond the span of a single lifetime. This excerpt from Manifesto, this is an excerpt from his work, Manifesto, the Mad Farmer Liberation Front. The poet says, "Ask the questions that have no answers. Invest in the millennium. Plant sequoias. Say that your main crop is the forest that you did not plant, that you will not live to harvest. Say that the leaves are harvested when they have rotted into the mold. Call that profit. Prophecy such returns. Put your faith in the 2 inches of humus that will build under the trees every 1,000 years."
Rima. That was so well put together, and I loved every minute of it. So the offertory. Your offering today goes to support the work of multiple groups in the church, like, for example, Lunches for Bunches, for those folks who put together the lunches for our food insecure neighbors, and things like treating our beloved tree out front. I didn't know if many of you read the article, but it had aphids. The aphids were eating the sap, and the sap fell to the ground after that, and then mold grew on it, which is why we had those sticky tiles. And so much of that work was done by volunteers, Jerry and Carl, but we did have to call out an arborist to, get rid of the aphids and treat the tree. But it looks fabulous out front now, and I'm really loving that. And things like finally getting ourselves to have the chancel a little bit more accessible by putting a little bar there for people to get up and down. Just want to point that out to everybody. There's so many other groups like Peace and Social Justice and all the things that go on here in our congregation that the church supports. In addition, half of your offering will go to Camp Benneville Pines. This camp was established in 1961 and is supported by 50 member congregations of the Pacific Southwest District. That's us. De Benneville's mission is to welcome UUs and kindred spirits to connect with nature, sparking creativity and building the capacity to influence positive change in the world. Camp, if you haven't been to camp, I really encourage you to try to sign up and go. It's just one of the best times for us to gather as a community and to really have conversations with one another and sit down and eat with one another. That is beyond anything that we can do right here at the church. So please come. It's I mentioned it earlier, it's the last weekend in September. So we invite you to contribute in whatever ways feel best for you. There are numerous ways in which you can give. On the slide behind me, all the ways in which we receive are gratefully accepted. Thank you for all that you give monetarily and also through your time and care in the church and beyond. The ushers are now invited to come forward. Your offering will now be gratefully accepted.
like to close this morning's service with a poem by Lisa Colt entitled Prayer. The poet says, "May we reveal our abundance without shame. May we peel back our sleeping wintry layers like snake skins, like the silk chrysalis, like clothing cast off during love. May we unravel with abandon like lovers' knots before knitting ourselves back to the heart. May we settle into our own rhythms like tides do, within the borders of the moon's calling. May the music of our souls be accompanied by grand gestures and the persistent clapping of hummingbird wings. May the milky fingers of the moon reach down nightly to cherish and unveil us. May we turn our bodies generously in its light like tranquil fish glinting underwater, like precious stones. When we open our mouths to sing, may the seasons pause in their long journey to listen and applaud. I extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we will carry in our hearts until we meet again." Please be seated for the postlude.